What up, what up, what up? Daniel Augustin here. Another episode of Multi-Hyphenate after week 12 of college football. Good stuff, man. Good stuff, man. Woo! Tennessee and Georgia. I got to eat my words on this one. I got to eat my words right here. Carson Beck. He balled. I'm happy for him. I could not continue to stomach how he was playing. I was so disgusted with how much preseason hype he had and how it was just Carson Beck mania. And he was just farting out terrible games, stinkers every single week after week after week. 12 picks in 6 weeks. That is wild. But man, did he come to play in a game they needed. Carson Beck saved Georgia's season in this game. Their defense came to play as well, but Carson Beck showed the hell up, man. They're still throwing the ball 40 times a game. So Carson Beck goes 25 of 40 for 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 on the ground. Look, it felt like the 15 misses that he had happened on the first 3 drives when Georgia went 3 and out. On those first 3 drives. It felt like that's where the first 15 misses came, because once he got rolling, this man was making every throw. He's throwing in double, triple coverage. And I'm talking about pinpoint, making the plays on the receivers. Gotta mention the fact that the receivers were actually making the play this time. They were actually catching passes that they needed to catch. They were coming back to the ball. They were making the back shoulder catch, the special catches. Beck was putting it on them. Pinpoint accuracy. I have not seen him play like this since last year, man. This right here was vintage Beck, and they were throwing the ball a lot more to the tight end, which I think really helped them out. It was probably a matchup problem that they were able to find with Tennessee and how they were covering the tight end. I also think that Tennessee's DBs did not really show up at all. I don't think the DBs made any real plays. First of all, no interceptions. But I don't think the DBs did anything to make it hard on Beck. Now, I didn't see any plays. I don't remember any plays in particular where Georgia just had a receiver running down the field wide open and Beck just missed them or something like that. Or, they just had a receiver running down the field wide open and, Beck hits him. And so it's not like Tennessee's DBs played so terrible that they were just messing up assignments. They were on the receivers a majority of the time. But Georgia had Tennessee off balance. Carson Beck had a lot to do with it. Instead of him taking sacks, like I've seen him do quite often, where he's taking sacks and, getting fumbling the ball, he instead had 3 carries for 32 yards, including 1 touchdown run. That was a huge touchdown run and got Georgia the lead. And that's really where they firmly took position of this ball game. Georgia's O-line showed the hell up. They showed the hell up. And Tennessee's D-line, they didn't really show up. They didn't get a single sack on Carson Beck. Only had 2 tackles for loss the whole night. That's terrible. And Georgia's defense had 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. I mean, listen, man, this is Tennessee didn't just lose this game, okay? They let Georgia back into the college football playoff, which is scary. It's scary. Georgia's liable to be a 11, 10, 9th ranked team, might even move up more depending on what happens these last 2 games of the season for a lot of teams, because Texas has to play Texas A&M, so somebody's moving back. And Georgia could end up being the kind of team that just has like great matchups in the college football playoff. They destroy the first 2 teams they play and they end up in the title game. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Georgia-Texas SEC championship game. That's if Texas can beat Texas A&M. That's not going to be easy. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Georgia-Texas championship game. It might be Georgia-Texas A&M, and Georgia ends up getting a playoff bye. From as much as they struggled, from as bad as they got spanked against Alabama, from how they just lost to Ole Miss, I wouldn't be surprised we end up seeing even a Georgia-Alabama rematch in the college football playoff. So many scenarios. I'm gonna get my bracket game going. I'm gonna do some bracketology coming this week. But this is a big game for Georgia, man. This is a big game. I think Nico's deep ball and pedestrian passing game really hurt Tennessee in this game. Tennessee is not as balanced as I thought they would be at the beginning of the season. They're running the hell out the ball. Okay, Dylan Sampson is special. But Nico's not making all the throws. Overthrowing. So many times he's overthrown his wide receivers. He's got some really good receivers on that team, and he's not really connecting with them. I think Nico can be very special. I hope he's just 1 year away. I really hope next season we can watch something special transpire with Nico Iamaleava. But just a lot of missed opportunities with the deep ball. Tennessee only having 319 yards of total offense while Georgia has 453 has a lot to do with the passing game, because your passing game is really where you pick up the most chunk. And Tennessee only had 167 yards in the passing game. It doesn't make any sense to me. Carson Beck doubles your passing production. Listen, this game right here, it's not going to happen. But this is a game right here where Carson Beck looked like a Heisman candidate. He waited too long. He waited way too long. But he looked like a Heisman candidate in this game. But none of that matters. He doesn't need to win the Heisman. He doesn't need to win, I forget the name of the quarterback award for best senior and best quarterback. I think Walter Camp? I don't remember. No, that's not it. He doesn't need to win none of that. He doesn't need that. Carson Beck is on track for winning the most important award, the college football championship. He's on track because he doesn't have to beat you on his own. His defense shows up. Whenever Georgia's defense shows up, they're one of the best teams in the country automatically, just based on their defense. You add in Carson Beck in the mix playing that well, potentially looking at a Georgia national championship game. Georgia versus somebody. I mean, I can't help but to say that. I cannot help but to say that. It's not even what I want to be saying, but I mean, they look like they're about to start surging at the right time. They got Georgia Tech the last game of the season. That could be a tough one, but I mean, let's see what Carson Beck does. If he continues this kind of play and turns his season around, let's say he shows up next week and has a 4-touchdown game. Week after that against Georgia Tech, a 4-touchdown game. Hey, it's not good for the rest of the league. Not good for whoever they play in the SEC title game. If Carson Beck is playing well, this Georgia team is going to be low-key unbeatable. And I'm going to say that right now. I don't mind walking back a statement. If he's playing well, this team will be unbeatable. If he's playing well, he's going to confuse everyone. He's going to confuse everybody. Pundits are going to be confused. NFL scouts are going to be confused. I'm confused by this dude, but I need another game. I need to see what he does next week. Got my eyes out on Georgia. I think they're in pole position right now to really, really make the tough season that they've had all the more worth it. Texas and Texas A&M can't stay in that one-loss section where they are. They can't. They cannot, because they have to play each other at the end of the season. So I'm hoping for a Texas-Georgia rematch. That's what I'm hoping for, because I want to see a showdown. Great season of college football. We've had nothing but bowl games and championship games throughout the regular season. And now we're going to be working our way towards conference championships and playoffs. I mean, college football has just been so special. So special this season. Great game for the Georgia Bulldogs, man. Great game. I love it when somebody can make me eat my words. Yeah, show up next week. Show up next week again. Let's see what you do next week.